Shalom lekulam! Hello everybody! Welcome to part 2 of our lesson series on Hebrew numbers. This time, we're going to see that the numbers 11 to 19 are construct chains. Let's go! In Hebrew, the numbers 11 to 19 are construct chains. So before we continue, let's review absolute states, construct states, and construct chains. In one of my former videos, I explained that in Hebrew, nouns can appear in the absolute state or in the construct state. Note that numbers can be considered as nouns when they act as indicators and not descriptors. So what is the absolute state? This is a state where we have the original, unaltered state of the word. When we have a construct state, this is a state where a word is connected to another word in order to form what we call a construct chain. So when two or more words or nouns are linked together, they form a chain. And this chain has the purpose of either expressing a relationship of possession or they have the purpose of creating a compound noun with a totally new meaning. Here's an example with the Hebrew word for dog, kelev. So in its absolute state, in the singular form, the word for dog is kelev. And its plural form is klavim. Kelev, dog, klavim, dogs. So that's the absolute original state of the word, these words. Now, when dog or dogs, if they will be used to form a construct chain, okay, so they will adopt what we call their construct state. So the construct state of dog, kelev, is still kelev. It's still spelled as kelev, but it changes in its meaning. So its meaning would be dog off when it is combined with another word. Okay, so for example, if we combine kelev with the word rehov, rehov means street, so kelev rehov, now dog is not just standing alone as the word dog, it's saying dog off, because the meaning of it as a construct state is now dog off, not just dog, and you add it to rehov, which means street, so it becomes dog of street. So that's how we say street dog. And now if you look at the plural form, so what about klavim? Klavim means dogs, many dogs. Now the construct state of klavim is kalvei. So here we have a case where the construct state has a change of pronunciation. So kalvei, and kalvei means dogs off. And if we combine kalvei with rehov, which means street, so we have kalvei, dogs off, rehov, street, so dogs of street. That's how we say street dogs. So you're probably wondering, how are you going to know what is the construct state of such and such word? And what I really recommend is to build your vocabulary by going to an online dictionary. What I would suggest is to go to Microsoft Bing Translator. And for example, you want to see, okay, what does dog mean in Hebrew, or what does house mean in Hebrew? It's up to you. You type it on Microsoft Bing Translator, and it's going to give you the word in Hebrew, if you select Hebrew as the target language. And what you can do is copy and paste it onto the search bar of pe'alim.com. Okay, pe'alim.com is an online Hebrew dictionary, and where you can paste the word. And what it's going to do is it's going to search for the word and tell you the different states of that word. Absolute state, the construct state of the word as well as pronominal suffixes, okay, if that is the case. So I really encourage you to use pealim.com to build your vocabulary. Another thing to remember is that in a construct chain, every word in the chain except for the last one is in a construct state. So the last word of the construct chain is always in its absolute and unaltered state. That's why the word rechov here, which is the last word of the chain in Kelev Rechov and in Kalvei Rechov, Rechov is street. That means street, and it's in its unaltered state. So I just want to remind you about that. Okay, now it's time to see an example using numbers. Here we have the absolute state of the masculine form of the number 1, which is echad, and the feminine form of the number 1, which is achat. Okay, now the construct state of echad is achad. So when it is in its construct state, echad, which becomes achad, achad now means one of. And if you add achad to asar, okay, asar is a special word in Hebrew, which is a way of saying 10 when it refers to numbers 11 to 19. Okay, when it is attached to numbers within the range of 11 to 19. So when you say achad asar, that's one of the 10. So it's asar is 10 in this context, and if you add 1 to it, then that becomes 11. So it together they form the word 11. Okay, now let's look at the feminine version. So the feminine form of the number 1 is achat, and the construct state of the number 1, achat, is also spelled and pronounced as achat. But when it is in a construct state, that means if you combine it with esre, okay, which means 10 in this context, then it would mean one of. It doesn't just mean one. So if you look at achat esre, which is the construct chain, the word that is formed by achat, when you add it to esre, which is the feminine version of 10, within the range of 11 to 19, so that becomes achat esre. That means 11. 1 added to the 10, and combined they are 11. Now, moving forward, please remember that asar, okay, masculine, and esre in the feminine, well, both of these words mean 10, and in Hebrew they are specifically used to mean 10 when forming the numbers 11 to 19. So the standard word for 10 is eser. Eser means 10. But when we are forming the numbers 11 to 19, we use asar for the masculine, and we use esre for the feminine in these construct chains. Okay, so now that we know the fundamental rules for 11 up to 19, let's see each of these numbers. Now let's see each of the numbers. So in the feminine forms, so the feminine form of 11 is achat esre. Achat esre. So that's the achat, which is the construct state of the number 1 in its feminine form, added to the feminine form of 10, in this case, esre. So achat, 1 plus the esre, 10, that is 11. So achat esre, 11. 12 is shtem esre. Shtem esre. The construct state of the feminine form of the number 2, which is shtaim, is shtei. Shtei. So shtei, shtem. So they resemble each other. So shtei becomes shtem. in the construct chain, so that's 12, 12. Now 13, 13. So the absolute state of the number 3 in its feminine form is shalosh, shalosh, but its construct state is shlosh. So when you add it to esre, which is feminine 10, it becomes shlosh esre, the 3 plus the 10, 13. 14, arba esre. So arba is the absolute state of the feminine form of the number 4. In its construct state, it is also spelled as arba, so no change there in the pronunciation. So we say arba esre, 14. 15. 15 is chamesh esre, chamesh esre. So chamesh is the absolute state of the feminine form of the number 5, and its construct state is also pronounced as chamesh, which means 5 off. Added to esre, which is 10 in the feminine, it's chamesh, 5 plus the 10, esre, that's 15. Chamesh esre. 16, shesh esre. Shesh is the absolute state of the number 6, and the construct state is also pronounced as shesh. So shesh plus esre, that's 16. Shesh esre. 17, shva esre. So here we have a change. The absolute state of the number 7 in its feminine is sheva. In its construct state, it is pronounced shva, shva. So we say shva esre. Construct chain formed by the construct state of 7 plus the esre. That's shva esre. 17. 18, that's shmone esre. Shmone is the absolute form of the feminine version of the number 8, and its construct state is also pronounced as shmone. So 18 is shmone esre. 19. 19 is formed by tesha esre. So the absolute state of the number 9 is tesha, tesha, and its construct state is tesha, tesha. So it's tesha esre, the 9 plus the 10, both in the feminine forms. So achat esre, shtem esre, shlosh esre, arba esre, chamesh esre, shesh esre, shva esre, shmone esre, tesha esre. Now let's look at the masculine side. Well, the masculine construct chains of 11 to 19 do not really follow the rule of having the construct state of the number plus the asar, which is 10 here for in the masculine form, not all the time. Okay, so let's look at this. So for 11 and 12, okay, 11 and 12 respects the rule of having the construct state of the number plus asar, which is the 10 for masculine in this case. So for number 11, it's achad asar. Okay, so echad is the absolute state of the masculine form of the number 1, and the construct state of this masculine number 1 is achad, achad. So achad asar. So the 1 plus the 10, which is asar, achad asar. Okay, that follows the rule. Same for number 12. So shnaim is the absolute state of the number 2, and the construct state of the masculine version of the number 2 is shnei, 2 of. So we say shnem asar, because shnem resembles shnei, okay, close to the sound of shnei. So shnem asar, that's 12. However, when you look at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, well, these numbers are in fact combining the absolute state of these masculine numbers plus asar. Okay, so you say for 13 it's shlosha asar, 14 is arba'a asar, 15 is chamisha asar, 16 is Shisha Asar. 17 is Shiv'a Asar. Okay, 18 is Shmona Asar, and 19 is Tish'a Asar. Okay, so the 13 to 19 don't use the construct states of these masculine numbers. Only 11 and 12 follows the general rule. So let's review the masculine forms of 11 to 19. 11, Achad Asar. 12, Shnem Asar. 13, Shlosha Asar. 14, Arba'a Asar. 15, Chamisha Asar. 16, Shisha Asar. 17, Shiv'a Asar. 18, Shmona Asar. 19, Tish'a Asar. Now to summarize, the feminine versions of 11 to 19 end with Esre, and the masculine versions of 11 to 19 end with Asar. So on the feminine side, 11, Achat Esre, 12, Shtem Esre, 13, Shlosh Esre, 14, Arba Esre, 15, Chamesh Esre, 16, Shesh Esre, 17, Shva Esre, 18, Shmone Esre, 19, Tsha Esre. On the masculine side, 11, Achad Asar, 12 is Shnem Asar, 13 is Shlosha Asar, 14 is Arba'a Asar, 15 is Chamisha Asar, 16 is Shisha Asar, 17 is Shiv'a Asar, 18 is Shmona Asar, 19 is Tish'a Asar. And the number 20 is Esrim. Esrim. Now, Esrim is used for both feminine and masculine. Now we're going to look at the principle governing abstract numbers. Abstract numbers use the feminine forms of 11 to 19. So, what are abstract numbers? Abstract numbers are numbers that do not act as descriptors. They do not denote quantity. They only function in counting or attributing a number to something or someone. So I've placed the table of the feminine forms of 11 to 19 on the left, and I'm going to show some examples. For example, to say seat number 19 or seat 19, well, that seat or that chair, we're not saying there are 19 chairs, we're just saying that number, that we're attributing the number 19 to that seat, okay? It is seat number 19. So to say that, Kise 19. Kise means chair or seat, and 19, okay, is the feminine form of the number 19. So to say seat 19 or seat number 19, we say Kise 19. Kise 19. Another example here is when you refer to a road, street, boulevard, or avenue number. In this case, 13 Rothschild Street. So Rehov is the Hebrew word for street. So to say 13 Rothschild Street, we say Rehov Rothschild 13. Rehov Rothschild. That's the street of Rothschild. 13, number 13. Okay, 13 is 13 in the feminine form. So Rehov Rothschild 13. So the feminine forms, okay, are what we should use when we're doing a count or talking about the number attributed to something, like if you want to say the athlete number 12 in a game. So or those kinds of things where you can say the number 3, athlete number 3, road number 4, highway number 100. Okay, so they're really purely numbers. Okay. Now, when it comes to cardinal numbers, we need to agree with the gender of the noun that they are referring to. And we're going to see examples here. Cardinal numbers are numbers that denote quantity. In Hebrew, cardinal numbers need to agree with the gender of the noun that they are describing. So here are examples using indefinite nouns. So to say 12 brothers or 12 sisters, so you don't know which brothers or sisters, you're just saying 12 brothers or 12 sisters, so those are indefinite subjects. Okay, so to say 12 brothers, we say shnem asar achim. Shnem asar achim. So shnem asar is the masculine version of 12. But if we want to say 12 sisters, since we're referring to females, we say shtem esre achayot. Shtem esre achayot. So achim are brothers. Achayot means sisters. Now let's see how we use the numbers when we are referring to definite nouns. So to say the 12 brothers or the 12 sisters, we add the definite article ha. Ha means the. So shnem asar ha'achim literally means 12 the brothers. And that's how we say the 12 brothers in Hebrew. And if we want to say the 12 sisters, we say shtem esre ha'achayot. Literally, that's 12 the sisters. Okay, and that's how we say the 12 sisters. And cardinal numbers are also used for telling your age. In this case, the cardinal number denotes the quantity of years you have lived. And because year in Hebrew, okay, the Hebrew word for year is shana. And shana is a feminine noun. Okay, so that means that we use the feminine forms of the numbers. So even if you're a man, you will still use the feminine form of the numbers. So this teenager is saying, Ani ben shmone esre. Ani, that means I. Ben means son. Shmone esre is the feminine form of the number 18. Okay. Ani ben shmone esre, I, son 18. And in Hebrew, that's how we tell the age. So he's saying, I am 18 years old. On the feminine side, so this girl says she's 15 years old. So she says, Ani, I, bat, daughter, chamesh esre. The feminine form of the number 15. So Ani bat chamesh esre. I, daughter 15, and that's how she says, I am 15 years old. So now you know when to use the feminine forms or the masculine forms of 11 to 19. And remember, in Hebrew, the numbers 11 to 19 are construct chains. Abstract numbers always use the feminine form, and cardinal numbers should agree in gender with the word that they describe. So that's it for this part 2 of our lesson series on Hebrew numbers, and I hope to see you again next time. Happy learning! Bye! Lehitraot!